Alright guys, so back at it. Today I'm going to be installing a bunch of suspension components because if you look at this wheel height, not great. The wheel gap, my whole shoe fits in there, so no good. So I have these D2 suspension coilovers, R8, AMG. I don't know how that relates to my Honda, but you know. Then I have front camber arms. Those are just the coilover wrenches. And then rear camber kit, so I can dial in my alignment for the track day. So I'll get rid of that. I know the car is relatively in good condition now, good running order, so now I can start with the mods. I'll get rid of those and yada yada. Quick easy mod, Broadway mirror, so I can see all the losers behind me. Ah yeah. Alright, so I've got the car on jack stands already. Safety first, right? So first I'm going to take off this upper control arm and change it for the camber adjustable one. So that'll help a little bit with taking out this stock suspension so I can put in the new coilover system over there. So let's get to that. Oops. You're going to come over here. There's two 14mm bolts, one on this side, the other on this side, and that'll hold the A-arm right here. Came right out. So here's a nice unboxing experience. Whoa, whoa. Cool, cool, cool. Letters bang up, cool. Arms. Not in a Ziploc bag. Seems pretty tight. Seems like they're both at the same height. They're roughly at two different settings, so I'll go ahead and adjust them to close to what stock is, and I'll let it ride. So I don't know a better way to do this, but well, first check it out. Sweet, shiny new arm, so matches it. I think the red kind of clashes. Honestly, if they offered a black, I'd get that. But usually what I do is I just take out the bolt from the lower control arm to the fork. Take out this bolt that kind of grows over this suspension system, and then I just take out these two bolts, drop the suspension system, and then, you know, load everything up, keep the fork kind of where it's at down here. So I don't know if there's a better way to do it. I'd feel better if there was a way that I could connect the new coilover to the fork first before putting it into the lower control arm, but hey, that's what we got. So let's do that. We'll do a quick unboxing. Here we have the two fronts, nice and new-ish, new to me anyways. So I'll have to set the ride height because these look kind of loose. It's pretty easy. This controls. I'll have to adjust the preload, and once I get a good preload, I'll adjust the height while it's on the car, I guess. Alright, so I set them up. They look a little tall, but I've preloaded them and done whatever. So I'm going to take these out over here and just kind of see where I'm at. So this is out, and then compared to this, oh, okay. Yeah, it'll be lower, but how much, I don't know. Now on to the next side. Yeah, so I finished up this side pretty easy. The only difference I did was I removed the stock A-arm and kind of left it out, and then took out the stock suspension, springs and coilovers, and then put in the aftermarket one first, and then put this one in second. The left side is a little bit trickier just because you have so much more things to navigate. Cruise control has to move a little bit, and you have to wiggle and finesse your hand over this little tube, but it's not too bad. You'll figure it out. Pretty simple. And we'll start on the rears because that's really where all the gap is. Alright, so I kind of got excited and started the rear without you guys, what I went ahead and did, I went through the trunk first and I took out the 2 bolts that are there. So my rear strut bar is kind of floating, but it doesn't really matter. And then I went inside here and took off this bolt right here, which dropped the lower control arm. I had a second jack to kind of support the spring. And then I took this bolt out and basically let everything down. It kind of just slid out. Easy peasy. Make sure if you have an SI or a rear strut bar in general that you undo this bolt. I lost those bolts, so I never had to do it. But that's about it. I'm gonna work on the control arm, adding the camber adjustments after I put in the new suspension, and we'll see what the difference from front to rear is. I already anticipate having to adjust the front to drop it a little bit lower. It's a little high for my standards, but we'll see what it looks like once I put the coils on it. Alright, and this is kind of why you compare your struts side by side before you just throw them in there. The fronts that I threw into the Civic from the previous owner seemed basically brand new. I didn't see any marks or anything. It seemed like I was the first one on those. But these rears, the preload on the springs are different. This one has way more preload than this one, so I'll probably take some out of here and kind of start over. The locking ring for this is actually all the way down here, so I'm going to have to bring that up because this is installed incorrectly. So this top part should have 2 rings. This bottom part for level adjustment should only have 1 ring. So whoever was doing these coilovers needed a little bit more time, I guess. So they're set up pretty similar now. I preloaded it about 1/2 inch, and then I left about a 2-inch gap between here just to start out for the ride height. So we'll slap it on the car and we'll see what it do. Usually stock has this welded nut on the end of it. These coilovers do not have a welded nut on the end, so I'm going to take the extra precaution to Loctite it just to make sure that this doesn't fall out, because I'm not trying to fall off the racetrack. So the front was pretty high. I measured this to be 2.5. I think I'm gonna bring the ring to ring distance down to like a little bit less than 2 just to see where it's at, and then put the wheels back on. And surprise! I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some Inky RPF 1s. I picked these up for pretty cheap just because I needed tires that had the same aspect ratio so that I could accurately make a judgment on ride height. So if I'm gonna do that, I needed tires anyways, so I figured this was the best way. Yeah, so it seems to be coming together. The wheel gap is a little bit better. Thinking this time around I will not go as low as that car over here. It's kind of a respectable height right now. I think I remember my track tires have a little bit of a thicker, meatier ratio, so it'll probably eat up a little bit of the gap there, so it'll probably look pretty good. Really liking the way those Inkies are looking on the car. They look pretty good.